Hello guys, in this video we will be learning about parallel and perpendicular lines, which you already studied in grade 10. We will just be doing the same kind of questions and the rules that you already studied. So let's start with the first rule. If two lines are parallel to each other, then their slopes are equal to each other. You have two parallel lines, then their slopes are same. And another rule, it's about perpendicular lines. If two lines are perpendicular to each other, which means when they intersect they form 90 degree, then their slopes are opposite reciprocals, which means m1 is equal to -1 over m2. So if you know slope of one of them, let's say slope of m1 is 2, slope of m2 is, you reciprocate this number and take its opposite. -1 over 2 is opposite reciprocal of 2. In another word, when you cross multiply this, m1 times m2 is equal to -1. Whatever suits you, you use either this or this. They have the same idea. And let's take a look at some notes. It's possible for two lines with positive slopes to be parallel to each other. These notes can come as true or false question in the exam. If there are two lines that have the same sine slopes, if they are positive, they can be parallel. If slopes are negative, if both of the lines slopes are negative, then they can be parallel to each other. But it's not possible for two same sine slopes to be parallel to each other. They has to be perpendicular. If one slope is positive, another slope negative, it's not possible for them to be parallel. They can be perpendicular, not parallel. So in order for two lines to be perpendicular, their slopes must be opposite signs, one negative, one positive. Otherwise, they can be parallel, not perpendicular. There's a typing mistake here. So let's take a look at the first question. So find the equation of the line passing through this point and parallel to this given line. So it's about writing the equation we studied in the previous topic. What we need to know here is how to find the slope. We are given the point. We have the point. In order to write the equation, we should know the slope. So what is the slope? We will find the slope by using the given line. So you will find slope of this line. So what is slope of this line? So we know that if two lines are parallel to each other, the first rule, their slopes are same. So slope of the equation that I'm going to write will be same as slope of this line. If this is m1, this is m2, then m1 is equal to m2. If I find slope of this given line, I will find slope of this line that I'm going to write. How do I find the slope? In the previous topics, we learned how to find the slopes. The first way, if equation is given, you can write the equation in slope-intercept form, in the form that y is on one side of equation, everything else is on the other side, and coefficient of x gives you the slope. It's a way. And I told you that I will explain another way of finding slope. So the second way of finding slope, if the line given is, when x and y are together, then the slope is negative coefficient of x divided by coefficient of y. The slope when x and y are together on one side of equation is negative a coefficient of x divided by coefficient of y. Negative a over b. So you either use this method, writing the equation in slope-intercept form and finding the coefficient of x as a slope, or already x and y are together in one side of equation, you use that idea, negative a over b. It's up to you. I find the second one easier, so I will use this. So slope according to the second rule is negative a, which is coefficient of x 4, divided by b, coefficient of y, negative 2, -4 divided by -2 is 2. So I got the slope. Slopes are same, m1 is equal to m2, so my slope for the new line is also 2. So I know the point, I know the slope, I can write the equation. I know the slope, I know the point, 2 comma 1. So by using these two information, I can write my equation. Remember the rule for finding the equation: y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. I need some space, so I will erase these. So let me rewrite it. I know the slope, which is 2. I know the point, which is 2 comma 1, and I know the rule to write the equation: y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. So y minus y1, which is 1, equals m, which is 2, times x minus x1, which is 2. So that's my equation. Let's simplify this. Y minus 1 equals, distribute 2 to the bracket, 2x minus 2 times 2, 4. Bring -1 to the other side. Y is equal to 2x minus 4 plus 1, x minus 3. So that's the equation I am looking for. So this is the way. You already learned how to write the equation in the previous lesson. In order to write the equation, you need slope and a point. The questions will give you the point. It will give you a hint about its slope. It will either tell you the slope of the line is parallel to the given line or perpendicular to the given line. By using the first two rules, you will figure out what the slope of the unknown line is. Another question, another exercise question. Find the equation. Again, we need a point. Point is given. We need a slope. Slope is missing. But we know that our line is parallel to the given line. What is the given line? Given line is y is equal to -3. What is the slope of the given line? It is, what kind of line is that? Y equals something. Y equals something. Then it is horizontal line. What is the slope of horizontal line? It is 0. Actually, we don't need to know what the slope here is. We just need to know that whenever, remember the notes from the previous topic, whenever the equation is y equals something, let's say y equals c, then it is it's a horizontal line, slope is 0. So since the unknown equation is parallel to this equation, its equation is also y equals something. What is that something? That something is given in the point in the question as 0. So y equals 0. So I don't have to solve this question. I can answer this by eyes. I just need to know the basics. So our equation is y equals something. If my equation, the missing equation, is parallel to that y equals something, this is y equals -3. If two lines are parallel, the other line will also be y equals something. We just need to know what something is. That something will be given in the question as 0. Okay, you can of course solve it in a long way. You can say y equals something, then its slope is 0. So I know the slope, 0. I know the point, -1, 0. So I can write the equation y using y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. Then you can also find the answer, but it is not necessary. You can use some shortcuts. Whenever y equals something, then the other line is parallel to this y equals something. Its equation is also y equals something. That something will be given. All right. Another example, another exercise question in the book. This time, point is given. The slope is perpendicular to the given line. So I need to know the slope of the given line first and then find slope of the other line. So what is the slope of the given line? I will use the other method. Slope is negative a over b. Slope is negative coefficient of x, which is 4, divided by coefficient of y, which is negative 3. Negative 4 over negative 3, 4 over 3 is the slope of this given line. If this is m1, what is your m2? Remember, if lines are perpendicular to each other, they are opposite reciprocals, which means you take opposite of this number, negative. If it were negative, it would be positive. If it is positive, the other one will be negative. You take the opposite of the slope of the given line and flip it, reciprocate it. 4 over 3. When you flip it, it's 3 over 4. 4 over 3 and negative 3 over 4 are opposite reciprocals. So I got the slope of the unknown line. I know this point 2 comma 1. I know these two information. So they're enough for me to write the equation. Use the rule. Y minus y1, which is 1, equals m, negative 3 over 4, times x minus x1, which is 2. So that's my equation. Just simplify it a bit. Y minus 1 equals negative 3 over 4x. Distribute negative 3 over 4 to the bracket. Negative, negative makes positive. 3 times 2, 6 over 4. Simplify it. It's going to be 3 over 2. And this negative 1 will be moved to the other side to isolate y. Y equals negative 3 over 4x plus 3 over 2 plus 1, 1 half plus 1, 2 and a half, which is 5 over 2. So this is my equation written in simplest form. So that's the way the question will give you the point. It will give you a line, and the question will tell you that the line that you are going to write, the equation that you are going to write, will be either parallel or perpendicular to the given line. Let's take a look at some notes. If a line is parallel to y-axis, don't memorize the notes, try to make sense. If a line is parallel to the y-axis is the vertical one. If your line is parallel to y-axis, something like this, it's perpendicular to x-axis. X-axis is the horizontal one. If a line is parallel to y-axis, it is perpendicular to x-axis. Then, what can you say about the slope? Since it's vertical, its slope is undefined, and its equation is x equals something. It's passing through x, its equation is x equals something. Similarly, the questions may also use these words, so you should know what they mean. Similarly, if a line is parallel to x-axis, the x1 is the horizontal one. If your line is parallel to x-axis, like this, or perpendicular to y-axis, if it is horizontal, it's perpendicular to y-axis at the same time. What can you say about the slope? Slope of this red line is 0, since it's perpendicular. And its equation is, since it's passing through the y-axis, y equals something. Okay, those are the key words. Don't memorize them. Just try to make sense. Try to picture it in your mind and graph it. Make a quick graph to see what's going on. Okay, let's take a look at some questions related to this information. Find the equation of the line passing through the point, this, and perpendicular to y equals something. If my line is parallel to y equals something, the other line is also y equals something. But if it's perpendicular, it's the opposite. It's gonna be x equals something. X and y are perpendicular to each other, right? That's your x-axis. This is your y-axis. They are perpendicular to each other. If my equation is perpendicular to y equals something, then it's going to be, the other one is going to be x equals something. So what is that something? That something is given in the point as -1. So no need to solve. Just figure out what is going on. Similarly, another question from your book. A point is given. This time it says it's parallel to the y. If it is parallel to the y-axis, it's about axis. The previous one wasn't about axis. It was about the line that's passing through the y here. What is y-axis? The vertical line is the y-axis. If my line is parallel to this vertical line, my line is also vertical line. If it is vertical line, what kind of equation you will have? If it is vertical, it has an undefined slope, and its equation is x equals something. What is that something in the question? That something in the question is given as -2. So that's the answer. If you get the idea, no need to solve. You can answer right away. All right. A similar question. This time, my point is given, and the line is parallel to x-axis. This is your x-axis, and you are looking for a line parallel to x. If it is parallel to x, what kind of line is that? It's a horizontal line. If it is a horizontal line, what kind of equation you will write? You will write y equals something. What is that something in the question? That something in the question is given as 3. In the recent years, they have been asking these kind of questions. There's a similar ministry question. By just using this information, you answer the question right away. Oh, it's confusing if you memorize them. Parallel to x, parallel to y, perpendicular to x, perpendicular to y, perpendicular to x equals something, perpendicular to y equals something. It's a lot. You may mix them up. Don't memorize them. Just make a quick sketch and see what's going on. Okay. Another question. Partial test 7. And in the recent years, they have been asking questions from partial test part from the book. This is a nice question. It's asking about the unknown component in one of the points. The line is passing through these 2 points and perpendicular to this line. Perpendicular to, which means we have the opposite reciprocal slopes. So find slope of the first one, find slope of the given one, to find slope of the unknown line. What is the slope of the given line? By using the second method, I will find the slope, -a/b, -a coefficient of x, which is 1, divided by coefficient of y, which is -2, -1 over -2, 1 over 2. So this is the slope of the given line. What is the slope of the other line? If they are opposite reciprocals, 1 over 2, take its opposite, makes negative. Flip it, it's going to be -2. 1 over 2, flip it 2, and take its opposite. So -2 is the slope of the line. I am not asked to write the equation. Look at the question. Unlike the previous question, it's not asking about an equation. It's asking about the unknown components. So what information do you have? So write down the information that you have in your hands. What information do you have? You have a slope plus, you have these 2 points, 0b and 2, 0. So what can you do with these 2 given points? How can you use these 2 given points? In the previous questions, I am given only 1 point, and I got the slope and write the equation. Here, I am not asked to write the equation. I am given 2 points, and I got the slope. So from the previous section, from the previous topic, remember, if there are 2 points and a slope, what can you do with these 2? How can you relate them? Okay, I know that my slope, if 2 points are given, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It's that simple. I am given 2 points, so by using these 2 points, I can find the slope. So what is y2? let's say 0 if it is the second point, minus y1 b divided by x2 2 minus x1 0. Simplify this, 0 minus b divided by 2 minus 0 2. So what is this equal to? I already got this as negative 2. I already got this. So equalize the slope to negative 2. So since I know the slope from these 2 points. They are equivalent. By cross product, negative b equals 2 times negative 2, negative 4. Cancel out the negatives. B equals 4. I got my unknown. So what did I do? I used the given line to find the slope. I got the slope, which is the 1 over 2. And I know that the line, the equation that I am looking for is slope has opposite reciprocal, which is negative 2. I know the slope. I know 2 points with 1 unknown component. To get this component, unknown component, I use slope formula because I already know the slope. I equalize the slope to the slope that I got, and I use the slope formula with these 2 points, and I isolated the unknown as b. All right, it's a nice question, and there is a similar ministry question. Another question. This is a ministry question. Two lines are given, and the question tells us that the lines are perpendicular to each other. Their slopes are opposite reciprocal in another word. And I have an unknown in one of the equations. I am asked to find this unknown. So what is the first thing to do? If I know that they are perpendicular to each other, I know that their slopes are opposite reciprocals, which means m1 is equal to negative 1 over m2. In another word, m1 times m2, the product of the slopes is equal to negative 1. So I need the slope then. I need slope of each. So let's find the slope of the first one by using the second way I'm going to use. Negative a, coefficient of x, which is 4, divided by b, coefficient of y, times, what is m2? Slope of the other one. X and y are not together, so I can't use this idea. I either get x to the other side in front, besides y, or I isolate y. It doesn't matter which way to use, it's up to you. Let me isolate y here by dividing everything by 4. Now y is alone. Coefficient of x is negative 3 over 4, which will be my slope. So slope of the first line is negative 4 over b. Slope of the second line is negative 3 over 4. Their product is supposed to be negative 1. So let's multiply them. Negative, negative cancels each other. And 4 divided by 4 is 0. They cancels out. 3 at the top, b at the bottom is equal to negative 1 on the other side. Cross multiply. Negative b equals 3. Get rid of negative. B equals negative 3. So I got my answer easily if I know the rule. What is the rule? Two lines being perpendicular to each other means their slopes are opposite reciprocals. In another word, the slopes of the product of the slopes is negative 1. Find slope of each line, multiply them, equalize it to negative 1, and isolate the unknown, like the previous question. All right. Okay, another ministry question similar to this one. This time 2 points are given, and it says equation is passing through these 2 points and perpendicular to this given line. It's like the partial test question. It's like this one. I'm given 2 points with an unknown, but this time unknown is not in the points, unknown is in the equation. And the line is perpendicular, the same idea, only the unknown is shift from point to the equation, but we will use the same steps as we did here in partial test. Okay, let's take a look at this question. Find slope of this line first, which is negative coefficient of x1 divided by m is negative a over b equals negative 1 divided by coefficient of y, which is negative b. So negative negative cancels each other. 1 over b is the slope of this given line. I am looking for a line that's perpendicular to this. If m1 is 1 over b, m2 will be its opposite reciprocal. Reciprocate this number, 1 over b, when you flip it, it's b, and take its opposite. So negative b is the slope of the new line. So the new line is passing through these 2 points. So as we did in the partial test question, you know what slope if 2 points are given. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2, 0 minus 4 divided by x2, 2 minus 0 is equal to negative b. Let's simplify this part. Negative 4 at the top, 2 at the bottom. What is negative 4 over 2? It is negative 2. Negative 2 equals negative b. Cancel out negatives. B is equal to 2. I think I made a mistake. Let me recheck it. The slope of this given line is negative 1 over negative b, which is 1 over b. If it is perpendicular opposite reciprocal, which is negative b is equal to 0 minus 4 divided by 2 minus 0. Negative 4 over 2, negative 2, b is 2. Maybe there is a typing mistake. I will check this later. One last question. We studied slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Y is alone on one side of equation. Everything else is on the other side. This is called slope-intercept form. We studied point-slope form. If one point is given to write the equation, we use y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. And if a line is horizontal, it's y equals something. If it is vertical, x equals something. And we also have another form, which is called general form, which means everything is on one side of equation, 0 on the other side. So this is what general form is. Everything is on one side of equation, 0 on the other side. The last question is telling us to write the equation in general form if it is passing through this point and perpendicular to this given line. So let me find the slope of this line first. My slope is negative a over b, which is negative a 1 over b 5, negative 1 over 5. If it is perpendicular, slope of the other line is opposite reciprocal. Flip this and take its opposite. It is 5. I know the slope. I know the point. I know slope is 5, and I also know my point is 1, negative 3. Write the equation. Y minus y1, which is negative 3, equals m, negative just 5, times x minus x1, which is 1. So y, negative negative makes positive 3, equals, distribute this 5 to the bracket, 5x, 5 times negative 1, negative 5. In order for me to write this equation in general form, I need everything on one side of equation. So let's move everything on one side of equation. I have 5x here. Beside 5x, bring y. So plus y becomes minus y. 3 also will be moved to the other side. Negative 5, negative 3 makes negative 8. On the other side of equation, I got 0. So that's how I write equation in general form. Okay, that's it for this topic.